Hi guys, Toby here with a new video, and this video I want to talk about Season 3 and why the queue times for social and SOLOQ RPGs are going to be faster than in Season 2. Now, God forbid I am not talking gibberish, but I'm going to explain why I think so and with some evidence behind it. Of course, I think Season 2 was a dreadful season for many reasons. I have loads of comments from my viewers, subscribers, where they are telling me how long a queue normally takes to get a game. And yes, you have the sometimes fast queues that are like unpredictable, and often than not, people can just like decline the queue and then you go back to the front of the queue, as they may say, although it doesn't really seem like that. And I want to talk why it is that case in Season 2, and then I'm going to try and like go and talk about Season 3 and how I think there is some positives for Season 3. Now, Season 2, the problems are quite obvious. We have a healer MMR problem. We have people that are actually leaving the game, DPS and healers, but mostly healers. I think DPSers are always going to be like in a supply. There will never be a moment where we have too little DPS. So it doesn't matter if a DPS leaves, but whenever a healer leaves, it does feel very, very big. And that's one of the reasons why in Season 2 I didn't push for any rating on any character. Like, literally, I didn't like feeling like I spent more times in queue than in actual game. And it's also partly my fault, because whenever I'm queuing for Soul Shuffle, I'm not expecting to do anything else but Soul Shuffle. And that is more or less my mentality, where I put my focus onto something, and if I have to do side activities or I have to alt tab and watch a video or whatever, it does put me out of the zone. And trust me, whenever you're out of the zone and you're like getting a queue and you play in that queue and in that matchup, and you perform very badly, it does suck, because then you play 30 minutes for absolutely nothing. I'm sorry, I'm not going to duel you, mate. And that is a very annoying feeling, right? That is just a very annoying feeling. And personally, I just don't like the fact that I can play a game, maybe a good one, maybe a bad one, and I cannot really continue the grind, because then I get caught, because first and foremost, I have to wait 20 minutes or maybe 15 minutes or maybe 30 minutes or maybe 45 minutes. I don't actually know, and nobody can know, because nobody can actually give an estimate. Look, I have 2 hours to play. I'm going to play that many games, because that it could be that you're playing like 5 games in 2 hours, or it could be you're only playing 2 games out of those 2 hours. And it's very random, and you cannot really telling yourself like, I'm going to grind that MMR for X amount of time. But I made already multiple videos about Season 2 and how it goes, and there is nothing really changing, although right now it does feel like there is a boost to the MMR and like an inflation kind of thing. Well, I still don't care. I'm not going I'm actually waiting for Season 3 right now. I don't play too much World of Warcraft, I'm going to be honest. I do try to go on the PTR. I do try to test out a few things. I do test a lot of things for Season 3, so I can talk about Season 3, but you rarely catch me talking about Season 2. And there's a reason, because I think Season 2 is just not a great patch, and unfortunately, not a great time, I would say, for World of Warcraft. And it's unfortunate, because I do love Dragonflight, but Season 2 kind of killed me. But I have a lot of hopes for Season 3, and I'm going to explain why. First and foremost, I think Soul Shuffle is at, I think, around the time where I think people are going to think about getting the format a bit better for next expansion. Let me explain. I think my expectation for Soul Shuffle in 11.0, whenever the expansion is going to come out, is that Soul Shuffle will not exist at its current form. I think Soul Shuffle will, at one point, go back to the traditional 3v3, and where if you're queuing as a solo queue player, you can actually queue with people that are like duo queuing, and that would be actually speeding up a lot of the process with the queues part. Of course, if you're queuing as double DPS, and you're waiting for a healer, that will always be a bit longer. But if you're like playing with a healer while you're DPS, you can find a mate quite quickly in a 2's queue inside of a 3v3. I think that will, like, they're going to build something like that. I think the 3v3 pure team versus team queue will cease to exist. It will be like, for example, League of Legends, where you have flex queue, where you can queue up as a 3v3, and more likely you're going to face other 3v3 players. But if you're queuing as a duo, most likely you're going to play versus another duo, and you have like a field player from both sides. And if you're playing like a solo queue, most likely they're going to try to equalize the amount of solo queue players in each side. I think that is the way that they have to go if you want to have quite fast queues. The only problem is that in solo shuffle, you're waiting like, I would say, 20, 30 minutes, 40 minutes for 6 rounds of solo shuffles. And again, I'm saying maybe because some people are AFK, some people leave. Anyways, there is a bit of everything currently, so you could be waiting for nothing. But whenever you're doing the new system with the 3v3, you could actually have only one round, so it's not a social, it's just like one round, you win, you lose. You have MMR system, which is more like baseline and way less complicated, so you either win, you get MMR, you lose MMR. That's pretty much it. There will be a lot of imbalances, but the queue times are going to be a bit more respectable. I think it's around 5 minutes then. But then, is it the same waiting 20 minutes to get 6 rounds or waiting 5 minutes to only have 1 round? I think mentally it's better to wait 5 minutes and then play than wait 20 minutes and then maybe play. That would be a very bad thing, especially if you have a bad lobby and you have like 0-6. It does get really hard mentally, I would say, for a player. Again, I think if you're a healer, you have other issues. That's why it's very hard for them to actually continue queuing. But for a DPS, for example, it can be disheartening, pretty much waiting 30 minutes to just lose and go wait 30 minutes again to maybe win or lose again. But I think Solo Shuffle will have faster queues in Season 3 because of solo queue RPGs. Let me explain. First and foremost, you have way more DPSers that are going to queue for solo queue RPGs as well, which if they are entering the solo queue RPG, it will liberate space from the DPS queue in Solo Shuffle, which in turn should speed up the process of finding groups. You are going to say, but you're going to lose healers from Solo Shuffle to solo queue anyways, which is partly true, but also false. If you are a healer and you're queuing for solo queue RPGs, most likely you're going to have an instant pop, the same which occurs for Solo Shuffle. So I do still think Solo Shuffle will have faster queues than Season 2. I don't know if it's going to be instant queues. That I think is a bit too much of an ask. I think if a 10-minute queue is of an order for Solo Shuffle, like if it's like consistently 10 minutes, I think that's an okay time to wait for Solo Shuffle because it's 6 rounds. Again, the game mode asks for kind of having MMR on the same range, so I think 10 minutes for the same MMR range is a respectable thing to ask. But having a 5-minute queue would be like a dream, but I don't think they're going to ever have that, and it's very hard for Blizzard to actually promise that because again, it's player behavior if they are actually wanting to queue Solo Shuffle as healers more often than not. But solo queue RPGs, for example, people are like scared of having longer queues in solo queue RPGs because of the amount of players available to that bracket. Because it's 8 versus 8, you have a maximum, it's not maximum, but it's always going to be 2 healers versus 2 healers. So you're going to have 4 healers needed in one solo queue RPG. But I'm going to say that it matters a bit less because if you are a DPS and you know another friend which is also a DPS, if you want to have faster queues, you're going to say, look, mate, you are going to go healer for one match, we get a faster queue. The next match, I promise, I'll go healer, you go DPS, and we run it back. You will also have a fast queue, and we're climbing the ladder like that. I think that will bring, for sure, faster queues in general, because even if you're like a solo queue player and you don't have any healer, people that are going to do that method will benefit the overall scene, the overall popularity, the overall population of that SOLOQ RPG bracket. So I think in general, normally, if SOLOQ RPG is a success, because if it's a success, it will normally stay as a success in my eyes, the queue times will be very low. The only problem I see for 10.2 right now is it is not a official rated environment. So are people going to actually queue for that system just to play, to test, and to actually get their feet wet for the eventual real game mode, like real rated RPG going into 10.2.5 or going in for 10.2.7 or the next expansion, or if they go for a 10.3, maybe a 10.3 feature. What I would like is that they really tested until 10.2.5 and then they test the rated environment, which in turn should test the MMR system, should test how lever queues are working, how people that they leave, what is going to happen in that game, what are the responses from people that leave, for people that AFK, what is the punishment. All those things are actually very important to assess. I think that just needs a testing round, and not only like, look, I'm going to launch an expansion with a new feature and we didn't ever test a rated environment. I think that would be nice to have that very soon, which 10.2.5 we already have a new build going on the PTR, so we have vendors that are going to be live very soon. So I think after BlizzCon you will have the 10.2.5 PTR, and at that point we should normally know if rated SOLOQ RPGs is going to be a thing. But it should take around like 6 weeks, 7 weeks, I think 8 weeks to get 10.2.5, and I think that would be a great time to start the rated SOLOQ RPG like environment. But I think I'm very excited for Season 3 because I think the queue times are going to be lower because of the excitement of a new mode where people are going to play. Again, it's not a rated environment. I think there is like some fake-ish MMR at the end of the game, but you don't really have any point where you can see the MMR. At least on the PTR, you cannot see that. Like whenever you're like on your character and you put a group finder and then rated, you cannot really see the SOLOQ RPG CR, but CR and MMR. If you're going inside of the game and you finish that game, you get an end score with your MMR or CR that you have and you win. So that is on the PTR, but like visually something that you, for example, you don't play for 3 days and you don't know what CR you are currently, there is no way to see it on a UI kind of thing. I think there will be a weak aura for that or whatever, but you can only see it at the end of the game. So I kind of am sad about it. I think, to be honest, I would have just launched SOLOQ RPGs as is, but I don't think they know already what they're going to do for levers or whatever they're going to do for SOLOQ RPGs in general. But I think SOLOQ RPGs will help solo shuffle population and queue times and vice versa. I think that would be fantastic. But like I said, I think the future of solo shuffle will probably cease to exist at its current form. For the good or for the bad. People do like solo shuffle and some people do not like the format and do think, look, I should be able to click on 3v3 and join battle and try to get me matched with another solo queue group, or match me with a duo queuer that is, for example, the DPS healer or double DPS and you are the healer, for example. So you kind of dismiss the LFG kind of thing, because again, LFG is quite dead in my opinion. You have days where it's a bit more fill, and there are days where it's quite dead. And I think LFG just as a system, the UI should be 10,000 times more better, more inviting for players. I think less discriminating for players. I think you should be able to say, look, I am a rogue mage, I look for a disc priest, a holy priest, whatever healer I want. Or for example, you play a rogue, you have a disc priest friend, and you say, look, we are only going to search for a mage. Then you just put, we want a mage, boom, you click, and then you are like in a queue. And whenever your mage is actually queuing for 3v3, they get into a group with you. If, for example, they only want to play mage lock, for example, then they are not going to be put on in your group, but you can also be a solo queue player where you actually put your preferences. I think that is the future of LFG. I don't know if they're ever going to do that though, but I think that is the way to go. I think people are like now a bit less oblivious of the fact of like comps. I think people are like right now, they know what they want and they know what they want to play, and often not you're waiting for someone that is not happening or not coming because they didn't see your group or you didn't see that player. I think that could circumvent the fact that you're going to ask for achievements or whatever. I think if you're like 1500, it doesn't matter if you're like a 2k player or 2.5k player or 3k player, you should be playing with another 1500 player. I don't think achievements should make you want to play with someone or not. But that is my opinion. I think that is a silly system. Personally, I don't care with whom I'm playing, and just if I see that you're good and you're good mentality, I'm okay with playing with you. I'm never like asked for achievements because I think that's a dumb thing. You can have an achievement in like two past expansions, but this expansion you didn't achieve anything. So what's up with that? I think that is a dumb system to actually judge a player, in my opinion. But that is my take about LFG. But anyways, this video is a bit longer than I thought it would be, but I had a lot of things to talk about. I think talking about season 2 was interesting for me, like a kind of regrouping of all the things that happened in these past months, but also talking about season 3, being happy about season 3 being there, but also being like hopeful about season 3 being a good a good patch. I also think that season 3 will be a more friendly patch for PvPers to queue with. Hopefully they don't mess up with achievements and with titles and whatever. Just give players some good rewards and they are going to play the game. That's just how it is. Just put the carrot on the stick and see the mule go forward. And we players are unfortunately mules, and some mules don't care about the carrot, but we all know that mules do like carrots, right? So we players, we do like rewards. Some players don't care about the rewards, but most players do. So reward your players and you will get more. But if you want to know what the prediction is of my tier list for Soul Shuffle, you can see on one of those videos here and there, I don't know. And also if you want to see my latest video about Retribution Paladin 10.2, talking about on the PTR, talking about the strengths and weaknesses, do watch one of those videos, and we will catch each other probably very soon in the next video. Have a good day. Bye.